Okay, so we're talking about pacing, which is another one of those sort of non-noticeable things that you don't really talk about, but it is something, one of those subtle nuances that if you know about it and can talk about the pacing, you are seeing the subtext of a passage. So just a reminder, let's remember what subtext is. So I'm going to change my font color to red, and let's make sure we have a good sense of that, because this is always, whoops, it didn't work. What we're talking about. Subtext equals the idea beneath the actual text. And I really do think that that's why literary analysis is so hard, because so much of it is looking at stuff that's not actually there. So you are, but it is there because it's all in subtext. I don't know. Write a letter or something to complain about it, but it's what it is. So it's a subtle element of narrative style. Subtle means most people won't talk about it. So why would it be great for you to talk about it? Well, honestly, it'll make your essay stand out, show that you understand the nuances of rhythm. Because people who study literature do write about these things. They do. Ask an English major. Okay, so you're offering commentary on the number of details and the pace in which they are revealed. So, things to consider, and we are going to talk a little bit more specifically. I have a rotation, is look at number, count things, um, connect this with rhythm, which is a hard word to type and spell, according to some people. So, connect with rhythm of the passage and sort of generalize, infer um, connection to characters. So the thing is, they're never going to actually say that this is the pacing of it. You have to do a lot of inference. That's most important. We'll make that bold then. I have to do connection. Okay, because it's never clearly stated. It is all back to subtext. Okay, so now this is the chart that's on the bottom of the notes if you clicked on those and downloaded them yourself. Um, Apologize for my squigglies. I can't draw a straight line. But anyhow, I wanted to take you through sort of the start of where you would go. So you do start by finding an example. And that means, in actuality, for example, you're looking for a chunk of the passage. This is the kind of analysis that means that you are paying close attention to different parts of the passage rather than the whole. So again, parts make up the whole, and then the whole is all of the idea. You're going to look at the occurrences. How are the details being revealed and shared, and what is the pacing of them? Sorry for the bell again. Okay. What then you're going to want to look at the progression of the developments. So number of number of details revealed in connection with how the narration. I guess let me clarify that. When we're talking about narration, that's what I mean by the progressive with plot development. That might make a little more sense. Well, I don't know where that went. Okay, oops, it went over there. Let's make this. There it is. And then you're going to look at the changes. So if the pacing changes, if there's a rhythmic change, the narrator takes in and gives a lot of information. You're having to ask the question of what does that help us understand about the mood or the setting or the character or the struggle or something that's going on underneath the actual plot, because that's again what we're looking for, subtext. Um, Put this in connection to the character. So if we're focusing on a struggle or a conflict, well, what does that tell us about the character and how they react? If you're looking at the narrator and the revelation of certain elements, how does this connect to the overarching character struggle? Those are the questions you're asking yourself, which I want just you to start challenging yourself to read with questions in mind. It's not about the plot. The plot's the plot. You can't change that. But you are looking at the development of the plot and how parts of it just stand out and you capture the nuances, and then you get such a beautiful story, so much more out of the plot when you look at what's there, what's tonally there, and rhythmically there, and pacingly, I guess, there. Okay, once you connect that to the meaning of the work of the chunk, then you're going to want to connect to the entire passage, and then you need to find more than one example per chunk of the passage. Um, yeah, because it's no longer that single C paragraph mindset of I have my one example and that's all I have to offer, because there's probably so much more there. So that's sort of where I am with you guys and thinking about. It is just a circular process of slowing down and noticing that there's some sort of nuances in the changing and how the details are shared. So what facts you're given and how they are revealed to you, and you're making a judgment, an inference on that as an element of pacing. Okay, so watch the video on Wuthering Heights. We're going to go through a passage and we're going to look at changes in pacing and rhythm and narrative tone, and we're going to try to make a few generalizations and inferences about that passage.